iTiS World of Worship Fellowship. Today is the 1st of July, 2024. According to the Gregorian calendar, it's the halfway mark of the year. Those of you who have New Year resolutions, how far with them? Those of you who have given up already, you still have 6 months to go. But yeah, so July 1st, Monday, we do Q&A because it's Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. East African time. Now, if you have a question about life, about God, about the Bible, life, generally, sex, marriage, you name it, you can ask. And then we record a response and share it with you. Everything we do here is recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and look for iTiS World of Worship Fellowship, you'll find our channel. It has content from 2015 when we uploaded the first video. Yeah, so feel free to go check it out. And if you have any questions, you can always get back to us. Yeah, today we have a question from the usual suspects. One of our own here, Peter. Peter, would you like to ask your question?
All right, thank you very much. There are 6 sub-questions in one question.
All right.
Yeah, when we humans manufacture products, such as a TV, we do so to serve a certain purpose. And this purpose is aided by the schematics and the parts of the product. For example, a transformer in the TV converts or transforms energy. In other words, the user, when we humans produce a product like a TV, we enable it. The enablers are inbuilt in that TV. They're inbuilt. And to the user of that TV, we produce a manual, which manual can guide us. So in light of that, my first question is, when we say God created us to serve a certain purpose, what does this mean? That is my first sub-question. God created us with a purpose or to serve a certain purpose. What does that mean? Another sub-question. Did God create us to serve a certain purpose? Number 3, if God created us to serve a certain purpose, if so, does everyone have a different purpose? Yet he created human being by identity. I mean, assuming a TV, it is a TV. So did you create a TV and a radio and a wheelbarrow, or you created a TV? Can we have different purposes, yet we're all humans, all human beings? I wonder if all the questions, I should read all of them, or I should go one by one and people respond.
Just read all of them, because I'm sure they'll be attempted in.
Okay, if everyone has a different purpose, how do I know mine? How does God communicate to me this purpose? The 5th sub-question is there a manual to explain this purpose? Or can I look at how I was created? For example, my physiology. For example, if my physiology is male, I have a working sexual organ, can't I adduce that, therefore, I've been created to reproduce? Or is there any other manual other than looking at how I am created? And lastly, if God created me for a certain purpose, how am I a choosing being? can a TV have a choice to serve a radio's purpose unless manufactured in that manner? End of the questions.
Thank you, Peter. As always, it's a series of questions, but I think important questions. Important questions about purpose, and in there's also free will. I think I was created for a certain purpose. Then, to what extent am I a free will being? I think that's one of the last ones you asked. Yeah. And if God created humans, mankind, how then can we have purpose? I think
yes,
that's
mankind. Yes.
Okay, let's attempt. Who wants to go first? Tom's microphone is off. I wonder why. Abby is driving, as always, and then
is Abby driving?
Yeah, except when you get to her favorite topics, then she parks on the roadside. Anyway, Isaiah, are you there? This question of purpose is a very important one, because in there's free will as well. Because that purpose can also speak predestination, by the way, I would say. I was created or predestined, if you like, to be this or to do this. So no matter what I do, I have no choice, and so on and so. Yeah, greetings to Jaja. Jaja wangu mlungi, but Isaiah seems to have stepped away. Please proceed.
Yeah, sure. First of all, it is important to distance creation from manufacturing. Especially the creation of man is a little bit different from the creation of other creatures. For instance, there is a purpose for each and every other creature. And that purpose is a serious one. Dogs, fish, cows, elephants, tigers and lions, and all other creatures have a purpose that they serve in this world. And allow me to tell you that that purpose is a restricted purpose. And if you'd like to call it, it is a predetermined purpose. And that includes the trees, the rocks, and the water. Mention nature as you know it. So that such have a particular purpose that they were created for. And it is also important to mention that they cannot serve outside that purpose. Neither can they even serve beyond that purpose. That is why they are wild and domesticated. In other words, they are exploited, and they participate in humanity's purpose. So that is the other world of nature. For that matter, I think that is very important for us to understand that in such a creation, nature has a restricted and a predetermined purpose to serve. And we thank God that nature has been faithful. But did it even have an option? It didn't. So basically that is the first approach to the question of purpose. And I think it is very important for us to understand. But even then, the predetermined and restricted purpose in nature, in the nature world, is a little bit even higher and more advanced than that of the manufactured goods, which actually operate with manuals, etc. So that also is a bit advanced in that sense. So we shouldn't therefore assume that the purpose of humanity is equivalent to the purpose of nature, or even assume that it is even similar to the purpose of manufactured goods. I think that is important to point out. When we say that when a human being questions their purpose, they are discussing a different thing from that of the nature and the animal world, and from that of the manufactured good. A computer, right now I'm using a computer as I speak to you, and I guess you're also using some version of computers wherever you are. They could be phones, tablets, laptops, etc. But all those computers have a purpose, and that is all they can do. That is all they can do. So, moderator, my first response to that is that when we discuss human purpose, we are not saying that that is all a human being can do, number one. Number two, that is what that human being was made, aka created, to do, and therefore they cannot do otherwise. And what we mean by otherwise here is that they can't do less, they can't do more. That is not what we are saying. So I guess we should start from that angle to understand this whole thing of purpose. Now, so humanity, or a human being, when God was creating a human being in the context of purpose, God did not create the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
God did not create the purpose for each and every human being. In other words, we should stop thinking and arguing, that is as far as I'm concerned, that we were purposed, therefore ordained, and our purposes were preordained by our maker or by our creator. To me, that is not the case. What God did, however, is to create you like you are, with all the propensities, the abilities, the potential, and all those faculties that constitute what we call a human being. From such, each and every human being deduces, based on their capabilities, deduces a purpose where they suit best. So what God installed in you in creation was not a purpose. Because it's important to understand that God does not commission us as solvents to nature in creation. He commissions us by the act of creation, okay, into nature as thinkers, to procreate and produce. And we produce not primarily according to his will. We produce and procreate primarily according to our will, based in our volitional capacities. It is for that matter that I sustain and maintain that God did not create the purpose for each and every individual. He created the abilities, the capabilities, the propensities, the faculties, and then ushered you into an environment, aka the world, for you to phase out your purpose. To demonstrate your usefulness, to not only dream, but to envision yourself within this environment and beyond this environment. That is your purpose. That is what you have carved through this life. That's what you've come up with. What you come up with in this life, in this nature, in this environment, and you consistently work on that, and you find not only contentment, but fulfillment and satisfaction. That is your purpose. So therefore, you need not a manual. Why? Because you are a free will being. You need not a manual. Your head and your heart is your manual. And you can tell the quality of that manual. You can really tell the quality of that manual. So basically that is all about purpose. How do I find out my purpose? Well, if I move to that part of the question, how do I? Well, they are pointers. They are pointers. For instance, the things that you not only do right, but you are self-motivated to do. It is the things that that you don't do because you can. Because there are many of us do many things because we can. Why? Because in a human being is a world of potential. It in fact is a universe. A human being can do many things. A human being is flexible. Human being can be nurtured into almost everything. And many of us get lost in that universe of potentials, because most of us, when we can do something, we assume that is our purpose. But there's a difference between you potentially being able to do something and that actually being your purpose, because it is not about what you can do. It is about what you do right and find meaning in by doing it, regardless of even the returns. Because most of us are lost in the world that says that if you can do this and it can yield benefits, then that is your purpose. No, that's not your purpose. Just because it pays you and brings food on your table, that's not your purpose. Therefore, your job is not your purpose. Perhaps your work can be, but your job is not your purpose. Well, moderator, if we even understand the difference between work and job. So it is important for us to understand that how one of the pointers of what your purpose is to be careful not to assume that what you can do is your purpose. No, it's not what you can do. It is what is that one thing that you find meaning of who you are while doing. Perhaps if you delved deeper into that, then you might reach your purpose and reach to grasp that purpose of yours. Then,
so purpose is not just about abilities, but also meaning you derive
yes,
from.
yes, because you see, the abilities, a human being has various abilities. I can assure you, you don't know what you can do until you're placed under training or under guidance. You can do many things. I have a brother, he's called Ivan Wong. He flies like a bird in taekwondo. And I'm telling you, I can do that. All I need is to be trained. You can. You can. So those abilities shouldn't confuse you. And you start assuming that what you can do is there for your purpose. Why? Because you can. No. How do you feel? What is your mental state? What is your heart state when you're doing whatever you are doing? What do you want? How do you envision yourself and where do you want to be? Okay, if they took away all the bills that you have, and someone or a permanent government took care of all your problems, all your financial problems, and they asked you, what do you want to do? What would you choose? how you answer that question is close to your identification of your purpose. Is close. But you see, most of us cannot even answer that question. Why? Because we are still struggling at the stage of self-discovery. There is no way you can understand what your purpose is before you understand who you are. Do people actually know who they are? If someone asked you, who are you? We will start answering, I am a born again. I am a Munyankole. I am an African. I am a professor. I am a scientist. I am a theologian. I am a philosopher. I am a mechanic. Gentlemen and ladies, we asked a simple question: who are you? So when you get in touch with who you are, you have now again taken another step towards your purpose. And I can assure you, God has never, is not, and will not be willing to interrupt anyone's purpose. Because the universe is here for you to explore with your purpose. Or for your purpose. So for moderator to answer that part of the question, you tell from those angles. And then the other angle is your environment enables you to get closer to your purpose. The people that you are placed within will always whisper, communicate, and tell you what you do freely, because people can tell that so and so does ABC effortlessly, and so does ABC in a struggle. So your environment, your community, your sociology will always tell you, but you are this, you are this. For instance, people can go to a school of music and they train and they come out as equal graduates with almost the same grades, same transcripts. But when they start singing or doing music, there is a way that one of those graduates does sing, not because he was that thing he does in their singing was actually passed on unto them in the school of music, but for him he's a singer, and for the other person he's trained to sing, and he's an expert. Indeed, he's an expert. Maybe somehow, somewhere, the community will tell you that you are here, but where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself? So there are some voices that come from your community to help you discover your purpose. To help you discover your purpose. They will. And I guess I've covered another part of that question. So I don't know how many parts are left there. Thank you, moderator.
Peter, are you happy?
Clear.
Do we have follow-up questions? Oh, I need to go back to the question and I see whether there's a part that I
Let's
have.
go through the questions, make sure everything is covered.
Yeah, okay. God created us to serve a certain purpose. No, that is not true. We answered that. What does this mean? We have responded to that. Did he or she? No, he didn't. We have answered that. If it is so, does everyone have a different purpose? Yes, everyone has a different purpose because he was not created for a particular purpose. Number 4, if everyone has a different purpose, how do I know mine? We have attempted that. How does God communicate to me this purpose? He doesn't have to. That is not God's responsibility to communicate to your purpose. He has already put in place instruments that will help you discover your purpose. And that's what we began with by telling you the propensities, the abilities, and the potentials and the faculties in your nature will help you communicate that here we go, let's face this way, let's face this way. Most people have done many things and eventually when they retire, for instance, and I think moderator, let me also mention this for clarity. It is important that we understand that the economical situations can abuse your purpose endeavors. Does anyone understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and that's why earlier I said that if someone told you that we are going to take care of your bills from now until you die, and then they asked you, go and serve your purpose, where would you head to? Please, anyone with an answer here to help us. Because the reason that's why we are working is because we have bills. And unfortunately, most of us have turned the servicing bills into our purpose. But you see, paying bills is not your purpose. Paying bills is fire brigade. We are under pressure. Your purpose is something that you do outside pressure. If they took away all the pressure that you have, what would you be doing? Okay, what is that one thing that you need to do, whether you are paid or not? But by doing it, you get satisfaction. And you can still do it regardless of the situations and circumstances. tough, or even favorable. What is that? So most of us should stop thinking that because you are hustling for your family, that is what you came to do. No, you are in a crisis. And I can assure you, you are not going to get out of that crisis. You just need to get your head out of the crisis. Until you get your head out of the crisis, then you realize what your purpose is. Because today you are looking for money. What if tomorrow you get all the money? Most of the pursuants of money, when they get the money, they continue pursuing for more money. Is that your purpose? Okay, for instance, let me flip it to retirement. If they retired you at 50 and you still have 40 years to live, you're going to die by 90 years. And they retired you by 50 and you cannot be hired elsewhere. And you're not even allowed to participate in the business community. What would you be doing the next 40 years with your life? Well, you can hear stories. I'll be flying from this nation to another nation. I'll be visiting this place. What will you be doing with your life? Okay, since it is Monday, let me even extend this discussion. We are hiding under the sinful world. And we have crucified all our purposes because of the pressures of this sinful world. Has any one of us imagined when we go to the new world where there are no bill pressures and everything is in order? And yes, we will be working. What for?
Shall be singing holy, holy, holy.
No, that is stupidity. Let us suspend that. So let us suspend that kind of stupidity, because the person who said that we shall be singing holy, holy was exiled on a certain island. He was actually in a crisis. Because worshiping God, singing is just a small part in worshiping God. That day will come when we discuss worship. Sing, we shall be worshiping God. No, singing is a very small part in worshiping God. That day will come. We are going to heaven where there are no bills, no pressures, no what. Because we've been hiding under the bills and the pressures of this economy. We are going in the new world where the economy is stable, self-sustaining, and we are living an equilibrium.
There's no inflation.
There is no inflation. In fact, we can't say that everyone is rich, but there is no poor, there is no rich. We are all right. And God insists that we'll be working. Now, if you don't know your purpose in this world, if you can't tell your purpose in this world, please do not go to the next world, because you are going to be idle. And idlers cannot be part of that world. What do you want to do if they took away all your problems? Okay, what can you do? Want can be accessed by anyone. What can you do? What? Have you ever sat down and said, but if they took away all my problems, my financial problems, my relatives' problems, my religious problems, I am a sinner, but you take away all the problems and you are stripped naked, and then they tell you, here is the world, please come and serve. How would you be useful to this world? Because some of you are even hiding in helping the orphans. Thank you. But you see, I have this calling where I have a lot of kindness. So when I see it touched me, so I decided that I start this. I came from a humble background. I've been struggling a lot. So I decided that I'm going to help all those whom we share history. Okay, now you're in a world where there are no orphans. Well, that can even be your purpose in this sinful world, yes. But are you going to extend that purpose beyond this world? Or when you get to the next world, you will again use your head to find the purpose in that world? Well, I agree. I agree. I agree. You can go into the new world and then say, well, here we are. We had a purpose to fight evil in the other world. Now we have another purpose. We want to phase out another purpose, how to deal with eternal good and only good. Well, that I understand. So it is important for us to really come to terms with ourselves. And two things. One, get to know that the pressures of these bills, sometimes they hover and absolutely cover and sit on our purposes. So sometimes when you're sleeping late in the night, think about what you can do and start on it. In fact, your side hustle, there's something called a side hustle, isn't it, moderator? Your side hustle should be your purpose. Let your side hustle be your purpose. Build something that you would have done. Wake up in the morning, go to someone's job or to your job, do the job. Then when you come back home, go to your purpose and do something that you've always wanted to do. Let nothing stop you. Manage your time properly so that you can serve your purpose. Why? Because the people who die without serving their purpose, regardless of how rich they are, they die a meaningless life and they die desperate and hopeless. No matter whether you die rich and wealthy and you are the richest person in the world, if you have not attempted serving your purpose, you will die empty. And you will die complaining. Why? Because you will die a death in which you have not discovered why you even came here in the first place. You'll be believing like an atheist who says we are here and we are equivalent to animals. We come, we are born, we live, we do all that we have to do, and we die. Really? With these heads of ours, then why are we having these discussions? Because such discussions are nowhere in the animal world. And it is not because we cannot communicate, but we know in anthropology, their language, the language of the animal world is called the call system. We can actually detect now with our technology what the call system actually means. And we have not discovered these conversations. Why are we having these conversations? Because we are created differently. So I don't care how much pressure you have. Ensure that you find your purpose, number one. Number two, start on it. Because you don't even know actually when you will die. Don't postpone it. Do it concurrently with your job. Do it. Thank you, moderator.
Okay, thank you. I think, Peter, your question has been answered comprehensively. Do you have a follow-up question?
No. Only that I was thinking when Pastor was speaking, could it be true that you cannot have a purpose where you are culturally a foreigner, where you're socioculturally a foreigner? In other words, is purpose tied to your environment, so that the purpose of one who has grown up in an Iceland field or an ice field geography could differ from one who has been grown and bred and nurtured in a desert or a sand field geography?
You see, moderator, when God created the geography of planet Earth, he did not put their borders. He did not. He placed people in those environments, and then he told them, go wherever you want and live wherever you want. And then people in their foreignness locked themselves where they were placed. And then they created boundaries and borders. And within those containments and confinements, they started the assumption that I'm hearing from the question of Sabbath-day, that I am born, bred, and raised here, and therefore my purpose cannot go beyond these borders, which is absolutely wrong, Mr. Moderator, because that is not humanity. That is the animal world. That is the animal world. So you have to understand, in fact, that some of us, the reason as to why we have not even discovered our purpose, it is because we assume that this environment can even enable us find it. Sometimes you need to walk out of that container. And I can assure you, your eyes will see differently. I normally tell people that some of us, no matter what you do economically, you won't prosper. You will not. In fact, even if they give you millions of dollars and they debit that on your account, you won't prosper. And there's only one single reason. I don't care whether you send fire. That fire will actually burn your little head. You won't prosper because of one single reason: where you are. Where you are. And you guys, I'll give you tangible examples, and you've seen this. There are people who have lived in Uganda, who have lived in Uganda for 40 years, and out of the 40 years, they have hustled 25 years, and nothing has changed. And then they leave Uganda at 40 and go to Kenya. I mean, Kenya, a bus of 60,000 Ugandan shillings reaching to Kenya. I mean, the last time I checked, I don't know the prices. And in just 5 years, their life is different. Just Kenya. So guys, what do you think is the problem there? Was the problem for the last 25 years? The environment. The environment. Then others will go to the Western countries, because most of you Africans want to go to the Western countries. But not everyone who goes to the Western countries prospers. No. So, Mr. Serwinde, sometimes it is important for you not to constrain yourself in a particular environment and say, I'm one African, I'm here to to save Africa. Why? Because I have the spirit of Pan-Africanism. You're just creating a mental image and you're subjecting your universal purpose to a local need. And that is very unfortunate. God has never created you to serve your village.
The
In
village
fact,
hero.
yeah, you to be a village hero and a village champion. God has not created you to do that. He has created you to take your village, or in fact, okay, to turn your village into an international community. You guys, I can tell you, Dubai is a small village. Is anyone see where I'm going with this?
Mm.
Dubai is a small what?
Village.
Village.
Small village. But the purposeful Dubaians, if that exists, have turned the international attention to Dubai. And everyone wants to go to Dubai. When Muhammad invented Islam, he picked up a sword and decided that he was going to evangelize using that sword. And then he set sights. Today, the religion has 1 billion followers that go and kiss a particular stone at the Kaaba. So was Muhammad just looking at Mecca when he started Islam? Can you say that Islam is local?
Mm-mm.
It is not. The ideology had a global purpose and a continuous one. Catholicism does not hold evangelistic crusades like the Protestant churches do. The global purpose of Catholicism is that someone is born a Catholic, even when they convert, they are converted Catholics. Just like that. The Jesus of Nazareth walked 60 miles every day. And he was not interested in performing miracles. No. He was interested in making speeches and statements. The statements that this man made had a global purpose. And under that global purpose had a meaning that communicates to generations after generations. Love one another. We are going to think about that statement until we die. And we're going to make meaning of that. And that meaning is going to operate and run our lives. Was this guy thinking about Palestine? When he said love one another, was he speaking to Palestinians only? That statement was patterned and purposed for humanity wherever they are and for relationships. He demonstrated that there is no relationship that can succeed if it is not founded on love. And that love must not be directed to particular people. It must be directed to one another. Now, one another is inclusive, not exclusive. Do you see the purpose that he was serving? Now, someone wakes up in the morning because it's Sabbath-day, he's a Muganda, and then says that Buganda kuntiko.
Hey,
Then you hear people say, Kenya Jew, Kenya Jew. Then you hear Ugandans say, no, Uganda Jew. Then Tanzania also raise their voice, Tanzania Jew, Tanzania Jew. Then you hear, make America great. Make America great again. That is the campaign slogan. Then you hear, United Kingdoms, Brexit, Brexit. And then they say, we are serving a purpose of the United Nations. How stupid are we? And what purpose? Are we serving the purpose of unity? Is the goal unity? When no one should have nuclear. Only the US, Russia, China, North Korea, rebelliously, UK, only those should have nuclear. Jew. Then we go down and say, Kikuyu, Jew. Kalenjin, Jew. Baganda, Jew. Banyankole are in power. Banyankole kweterana. So you cannot serve a tangible purpose with a local mind. You can't. Your purpose must go beyond the borders. Your purpose must be inclusive. You can't tailor a purpose on a particular ethnic group. And you call that a purpose? That's not. That is a mission. That's not a purpose. That's a mission. And you can do that much in that missionary work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Nina. Do you remember it?
A question
Peter,
from
from Nina.
Eh?
Hebrews 11.
Mm.
Look at verses 34 and 35.
Mm.
If you can quickly open up your Bible. Hebrews 11, 34, 35. And I think part of 36.
Mm.
She wants to know what they mean exactly, that prayers of women were stronger and they received their dead loved ones.
Hebrews 11.
34, 35, 36. Let me also open it up here. Hebrews 11. Hebrews 11, 30. Let me start from 33. Okay, let me start reading from verse 33, I think. 32. No, 30. Which has a subtitle, By Faith They Overcame. Verse 30, by faith the walls of Jericho fell down after they were encircled for 7 days. 31, by faith the harlot Rahab did not perish with those who did not believe, when she had received the spies with peace. Verse 32, and what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Jephthah, also of David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, worked righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouth of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword. Out of weakness they were made strong, became valiant in battle, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Verse 35, where Nina's question is, Women received their dead raised to life again. Others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. Still others had trial of mockings and scourgings, yes, and of chains and imprisonment. They were stoned and they were sawn in two, they were tempted, were slain with the sword, and so on and so forth. Yeah, this is the NKJV version.
Yes.
I don't know what version you've been reading.
Even my RSV is not far from that, because my RSV says,
Mm.
verse 34, quenched raging fire, escaped the edge of the sword, won strength out of weakness, became mighty in war, put foreign armies to flight. Verse 35 says, women received their dead by resurrection. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release that they might rise again to a better life. Yeah, sure. I guess it's almost the same. It's actually the same.
Yeah, so Nina's question is, what do they mean exactly that the prayers of women were stronger and they received their dead ones, their loved ones back?
But
Very specific from verse 35. Mhm.
I don't
Yes,
see,
Peter.
I don't seem to see prayers anywhere. Do you?
No, the strong prayers are not there, but the one of receiving their dead ones back is there. So maybe we can start with that.
Yeah, but it is also important to, I wish Nina was here to give us the context of that question, and why the prayer bit was involved in the question. Nina would actually have helped us, but since she's not here, I guess, and but now that we are recording and she's in some of our platforms, I guess she will listen to the recording and then give us a follow-up question, or actually the information that that could inform our response. Yeah, yeah, I was just giving that informative part. But if there's anyone who wants to attempt first, or I could continue.
So would you like to attempt? It's a chapter about faith, as far as I can tell, and things that happened from faith according to the writer. Is that so?
Yes, yes. Hebrews
They
chapter
conquered
11.
enemies, they did mighty things, they
Yes,
even received their dead ones back.
yes.
Okay, Isaiah, you go ahead. I guess Peter will come in later. Oh, Peter, are you ready?
I was just a small attempt that to understand or to have a glimpse into what any of the verses, especially the verses such as 35, would mean. It necessitates us as students to first go back to the definition of faith. And I would like to only borrow a clause out of the definition, or a phrase out of the definition, that now faith, I'm reading from the RSV, the Revised Standard Version, English translation. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Uh, things hoped for, conviction of things not seen. That I think by the time resurrection, as written or as translated here, happened, it had never been seen before. It was strange. I mean, you could hardly imagine the dead in skeleton form returning to life in flesh, blood, breathing, laughing, and crying, and speaking, and eating. So I think the communication here in the entire chapter, if I'm to say, is that the impossible what had never been seen or imagined through faith happened. Resurrection was a thing never imagined and never seen, but happened because of a thing called faith. That's what I can say.
Moderator has disappeared.
Sorry, I had background noise, so I switched off my mic. I was talking to myself. Sorry. Isaiah, go ahead, please.
No, I think Nina also, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter, for that. Let me first respond to Nina, and in case we need to do something about the faith bit, then we can. But for now, moderator, I think what Nina needs to understand by verse 35, because I guess that's where the complication is. Women received their dead by resurrection. By resurrection. The prayer bit, I don't know where she got it from, but we will learn that in case she gets back to us. If you want to understand this verse and these women, because who are these women? Okay. Who are these women? The writer of the Hebrews is referring to women both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. Do you remember the woman in the Old Testament with Elijah? So that woman exhibited faith in an era of not faith, of works. She left the prophet with her dead child in a room, and she was not preparing a burial. She was waiting for the result of the meeting between the prophet and the corpse of her child. For some reason, she hoped, believed, and had faith that the prophet might. She didn't know how. She had never seen it or even heard about it. That her dead would be brought back to life. Perhaps she even thought that the prophet was conducting the new death rites. Rites, R-I-T-E. Yes. So, but she kept believing and waited. And the prophet walked out with a living, formerly dead child. A woman in the Old Testament, by faith, received back her loved one by resurrection or through resurrection. Now, when we come to the New Testament, we see Jesus moving and finding those who are going to bury. And a child is in the coffin. And Jesus does not even stop the woman. Jesus stops the guy carrying the coffin and says, "You stop. I command you, child, who is in that, raise again." And the parents do not interrupt the process. And they believe that that will come. So in the New Testament, there are those images. So these are the women that that the writer of Hebrews, whom we have not confirmed, who actually it was, is talking about. But the actual theme of the chapter is faith And that is the definition that Peter has actually talked about in 11:1:1. That people without evidence and without assurance and without seeing sight, believed that what they were not sure about and they could not explain, and what they could not see was going to happen, and indeed it happened. It happened in that manner. So moderator, for me, Peter, mute. So moderator, for me, I absolutely think that that is what that verse is about. But again, let me just leave it this here. Moderator, another thing about Hebrews chapter 11. Can I say a few things again about Hebrews, the faith?
Yes, please.
You see, when you look at the heroes, because that chapter is sometimes called the heroes of faith. Yes, it is important that when we are looking at that chapter, okay, we focus on the characters, and then we start thinking what we can learn from these characters and how they exercised their faith. Okay, you can go through all that and then and learn a number of things. For instance, he starts with Abel in verse 4. He said, by faith Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain. So the issue here, how did the faith of Abel attract the acceptance of God? And the offering of Cain attract the rejection of God. These things are very important to ask. By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death. He was not found because God took him. What do we learn from the faith of Enoch? I mean, nothing. Okay, that is for me. I learned nothing from Enoch because by faith Enoch was taken up. So what do I do? How much faith do I need, or what kind of faith do I need to be taken up and not be found? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to tell you that some of the characters that are mentioned here are picked from the mythologies of the Jewish economy, and they are not actually representatives of faith, per faith, what we know faith to be. I'm sorry to disappoint you. But how do I believe like Enoch and I am taken? So
What does that look like practically?
How? Then Abel offered a more acceptable sacrifice. So if I am going to sacrifice and offer to God, what is that offering that attracts the acceptance of God? And what is that offering that attracts the rejection of God? These are important questions. But you need to go back and put them back into their context so that you can understand. Okay? But when it comes to verse 7, and they bring a character like Noah, he says, by faith, Noah, being warned by God concerning events yet unseen, took heed and constructed an ark. Does that make sense? To me, I find no practical lesson for my faith. For instance, we have never seen God ending the world and God appearing on the clouds. And by faith, I am here to tell you that I absolutely and 100% believe that God will appear on the clouds, every eye will witness the second coming, and this world will end. Just like in the mythological world of Enoch, it had never rained and never flooded, and there was no boat. And the guy started constructing a boat without waters. And indeed it rained. Those who believed and had faith pre the event were saved. Those who doubted based on facts, those who doubted based on what? On facts.
On facts.
On facts, perished. So Noah is teaching us that facts can get us in the wrong place sometimes, and faith can get us in the right place. And the reverse is true. So these characters are very interesting. I wish I could continue, but I've just given you a template that you need to work with. If need be, iTiS will run for your series in that. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you. And in case you have a follow-up question, please don't hesitate to
Moderator.
get back. Yes, Peter.
Maybe would this do, because we only have, I think, 19 minutes to go or less, maybe it would do next time. I don't know, by your discretion. My question comes from some statistics I read somewhere that the fathers who are actively involved in the lives of their children are 5%. What does it mean for me, a father, one who is fathering Dineta, to be involved in her life? And how do percentages matter here? How much?
Finally, we have a question that can be answered by MB and the moderator. Thank you, Peter.
By Ebby and the moderator. Chogamba ever dodging a who's one.
I'm not necessarily dodging, but those are the parents that we have here, the most responsible parents that we have at iTiS.
Yeah. Mama Ebby, what does an involved father look like in the life of their child?
Yeah, how do I get involved? And what should I do?
Are they carrying them, putting them to bed, kissing them good night, changing pampers, diapers, attending school events? Because that's what women mean by involvement. Men seem to have a different. I think it. Ebby, can you talk? Ebby will not come on this one. Anyway, as we wait for Ebby, I would say being involved as a father or as a parent basically means pulling out the man, if it's a boy, in the case of a boy, pulling out the man in this boy. Because according to me, manhood is bestowed, doesn't happen automatically. So as a father to a boy, let me just bias myself to the boys. As a father to the boy, you've got to talk to this child, you've got to impart certain values, you've got to impart certain skills, you've got to call out some things from this boy, which the mother cannot do. A mother cannot call out those things. Femininity cannot bestow masculinity, according to me. So being involved means spending time with this child, learning them, learning their weaknesses, and then working around their weaknesses or with their strengths to develop the strengths. Yeah, that's what I would say. So it goes beyond just providing shelter, and food and clothing, which I think many men do religiously. So it goes beyond that. Like Isaiah said last week, to be a parent, you need two things: time and money. So for me, involvement in this context means time, investing time, not just your money. Okay. So Peter, I don't know if that helps, but that's what I would say about an involved father. And maybe I could add, you see, there are two types of absentee fathers. There are those who are just not there. Either they separated with the mothers of the children, or they're probably dead, or whatever, or they're separated. There's that type of absentee father. But then there's another type who's actually physically present, but totally uninterested in the affairs of the children. And I think that one is probably worse than the first category. I mean, the father is home, but is probably on his phone in a corner somewhere or in his room, does not talk to the children, does not find out, does not care to find out what kind of, for example, I have 3 children, but I can tell you they are all 3 different personalities, totally different. Sean is totally they're like total opposites, totally different from Anaya. Sean is self-driven, he's gets it. Anaya, on the other hand, you've got to explain. She asks more questions, she's more analytical, she's more, So how would I know all these things if I was not spending time with these children? So for me, that's what I would say an involved father is, or parent for that matter. Of course, by default, mothers tend to spend more time with the children as fathers go to work, and the children typically stay home with the mothers, meaning the mothers many times know more about the children than the fathers. Fathers stop at providing. Of course, there's a big debate about what fatherhood looks like, especially in the modern age. The kind of parent I've described above is described in some circles as being domesticated. They say these men are domesticated or tamed for that matter. They're basically like wild animals we brought home, and now they're just obedient, nice men, Some sections of society look down upon such men. They feel men should be out there, chasing the paper, not typically involved in these women-like things, which involve just babying the children, spending them, telling them I love you, reading bedtime stories, and things like that. Yeah, that's as much as I can do for now about involvement. Let me hear from Tom. Tom, can you talk? What does an involved parent look like to you? According to Peter's statistics, only 5% of fathers are involved in their children's lives.
I really don't know who did the research and concluded that 5% of fathers are involved. And when I heard you speak, you seemed to say that what women call involvement could be different from what men call involvement. Let me guess. I could be right. Whoever did the research was a feminist. For reasons I don't know. I don't know. According to what Peter read, what involvement a father's involvement meant. If Peter could come in and help us according to the research, what did they mean by involvement? Because before you say 5%, then you must know what it is like, what they should do in order for you to say they are 5%. Personally, I think I am involved in my children's lives, even when I don't visit them.
How are you
even
involved?
when I don't visit them on visitation days. I first of all find shelter for them, ensure they get education, ensure they are fed, ensure they are clothed, ensure they are well, ensure they get treatment when they are sick. So how else would I be involved? I think some person, some group, some organization, or some entity wants fathers to believe they have failed as fathers, and therefore they are guilty for all that is happening. So that moderator, that is how I am involved in my children's lives.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Ebi singoti yamanoyogera anova mu inbox. Anyway, we're running out of time, quickly running out of time. Isaiah, how are you involved in your children's lives? All of us here are parents, thankfully, so. And we're involved in different ways. Like I said, time and money. Money is the default involvement, shelter, clothing, and also all types of bills. But the time factor seems to be.
I'll agree with you. Let me come in briefly before Isaiah comes in. I'll agree with you because ideally, a time factor and involvement. That is why some men were saying that children are a setback. But, okay, you said that your princess, she's inquisitive, she's this. I'll even tell of a brief story. We went to hospital and they asked the father the date of birth of his children. He had actually like 3 children there. They had gone for a checkup. And he had to call the mother to find out their birthday. So involvement goes way beyond providing shelter, money, and clothing. Ideally, even an uncle can provide that. Even a grandfather can provide that. But how are you involved? How well do you know this child? How are you keeping up with his character, with his way of life? Can he trust you enough to come to you in case of anything? That is being involved. Because I've seen fathers who go over and beyond, fathers who can even, who know how to do pampers, who know how to do ETC, everything. And those are really involved. So I think the time factor should embody an involvement that is beyond what every father is meant to do or is supposed to provide. That is all I have.
Okay.
Isaiah, what would you say?
Taduse amaliriza bulungi and thank you Ebi. Moderator, as usual, I am the controversial problem here.
We are used to you.
And I hope I will make it quick. First of all, thank you, Ebi. First of all, it is important because for me, I am a traditionalist. You know me. Yes, it is important that we draw back our minds and look at the involvement of fathers in the historical times. And I can tell you, like I've always told you, the definition of a parent is a mother. Are we together? The father is not a parent. That is why the father must be involved into parenting. If that has settled well in your mind, I would like to go ahead and tell you that because the father can only be involved in parenting, then the determinants of that involvement are the 3 W's. The first is when. The second is how. The third is why. In fact, WHHHW. Now, the fathers, the modern fathers who have wives, who serve as the mothers, aka the parents to their children, who are involved into changing diapers, are introducing another kind of involvement. And this is why we have ended up with the quality of people that we have today. That diaper business, okay, let me put it this way, in the interest of time. A father must get involved with their children, okay? When they are age 6, they can talk, run around, etc. And the involvement there is a little bit minimal. When they start growing, that is when the fathers now get seriously involved because they are there now to guide. But you see, the problem today is that the gender roles in parenting have been also confused. The fathers today are serving a mother-in-law role, and the mothers today are serving a father-in-law role. So the involvement here is confusing the children, and that's why we are raising children who later feel like they are women and they are boys, and in the process feel like they are boys and they are girls. There was a time when the father decided to take his boy hunting purposely, and in most cases it was even against the mother's will, but the father had to take his boy hunting. That was the involvement, because when we say that fathers are less involved, they are 5% involved. At what stage? At what stage are they less involved? Okay, when should the father be involved as a parent? You remember the disciplinary committees?
Mm.
I told you to go and fetch what I refused, let your father come back. Do you see that kind of involvement?
Mm.
So the father came back, and that evening, the father got involved. But we are in a generation where the maid is the one parenting the children and telling the children, let your mother come back and your father. So this kind of the fathers are not involved can actually be challenged. How are the mothers even involved? But for me, moderator, now that the time is up, I would like to say this, that fathers should know when to be involved, and how and why. Mothers are permanently involved because they are the parents. Fathers are not parents. They are just involved into the business of parenting. And I am not defending careless fathers here. I am telling all the fathers here, you should know your when, your how, and your why. And even if that percentage is 5%, like they said, it is enough for your involvement to make that child who they want to be or who they ought to be. Thank you, moderator.
Okay. Peter, have you been helped? Or we should get some more time for this as our social topic?
Twetaagayo ka time k'ekintu kino musumba addemu alambulule ku fathers are not parents.
I guess Thursday social topic. Thank you very much. See you on Thursday. God bless.